Hello everyone, my name is Kiana Johnson, and for this project I chose the 3 Cheers for Trees activity. And so I'm going to be talking about how I would present this in a classroom. I would first start out with the activity, so I would have the students pair up or work at their table depending on who's there, what the classroom setup is like, and how many people are around. So they would pair up and choose one of these following locations. So playground, school ground, city street, neighborhood, park, zoo, highway, picnic area, backyard, or farm. Once they have that, then they would go and get their supplies from wherever the supplies are located in the room. They would need 2 sheets of printer paper and then something to color with or draw with. So that could be markers, crayons, colored pencils, just normal pencils, and they could either get those from the classroom or from within their desk. Then we would go into the activity. So I would show them this slide and say the first step is to remember what place you picked in that first slide, and then you're supposed to draw that. So you have to draw that location any way you want. It can look like anything, but you cannot put any trees in that location at all. So I'd give them a couple minutes, probably 3, 4, 5 minutes to draw that. And then once they have that drawn, they would walk around to either different groups, different tables, and then show each other what they drew, and they could talk a little bit about what they did. They would explain the location that they picked and then what the images are that they drew. Then they would sit back down, grab their second sheet of paper, and then draw their same location, but this time they could draw it with as many trees as they want. And so it'll be interesting to see how and where the students can place their trees in their images. And then I would give them another 3, 4, 5 minutes to do this. Once everyone looks like they're about done, I would ask that the groups tape those 2 pictures or 2 pieces of paper together so that you can see them side by side. And we would go around and do some more sharing. So they would walk around the room again, get their blood moving, and share those pictures. They could ask each other questions. These are just 2 examples, but students can ask whatever kinds of questions that they would like. So which would you rather go to and why? And which one looks the best? So which one looks like the one that you would want to go to? Which one looks the prettiest? Anything like that. I'd give them about 5, 6, 7 minutes to do that. Once they've visited almost all the groups that are there, they could go ahead and have a seat. And then we could talk a little bit more about what they saw and what they're learning. So we could vote on who liked the first picture without trees better than the second picture, and then who liked the second picture with as many trees as they wanted better than that first picture. And then we can go in and talk about, we can analyze a little bit. We can talk about the types of benefits that trees provide. And so I would start out talking about the 3 main classes of benefits we could group these into, and that would be social, environmental, and economical. So social I would describe as ways that people are happier and healthier. Environmental I would describe as the way the environment is safer and healthier. And then economical would be a way that you can save money either right now or in the future. So then with those 3 quick definitions, we would go into a little group discussion about what benefits or what are the benefits of trees that you can think of. I would let them pair up, talk for a minute or 2, list them out on a sheet of paper, and then we would go around to the different groups and they would each share out an idea at a time. Or I could have them go up to the front of the room and like their spokesperson could go and write what their ideas are on the board. And then we could talk about that a little bit further. After that would happen, I would go through and just talk a little bit more about some specific benefits that are pretty common with the trees. So I would start with the social benefits. And so we could say that they enhance quality of life for residents. And this is just an image of a bunch of different families or people out where trees are. They improve their quality of life by providing oxygen. The green space is really good for their mental health and just provokes a happier environment. Another social benefit is that they can provide privacy. So it can be a natural wall or a natural fence. So here you can see the rows of those tall green trees. They act like a natural wall, so you don't necessarily know or can see what's on the other side of that. So if you need privacy, instead of putting up a fence or a wall, think about putting up a row of trees. Another one is they can emphasize views. So I chose this picture because it's beautiful. Trees are beautiful themselves, and they can make the natural landscape even prettier. They can also provide shade for events. So we can see here, even if they're just talking, providing shade, making sure people don't overheat is always a good thing. And then on the right over here, we can see a little girl reading underneath a big tree in the shade. So they can provide shade for all sorts of events. These are just two examples that I picked. And then moving on to some economic benefits. So talking a little bit about money in terms of food and resources that they can provide. Trees are made of that wood, and we can use wood for all sorts of things. They also flower and provide fruit, so we use that fruit. We can use it to eat, we can use it to make other things, we can feed animals with that fruit, and they also provide nuts for animals and for ourselves. Additionally, they enhance property value. So having trees on your property can actually make your property worth more money in the end. They can also reduce heating and cooling costs. So the shade that they put off can cool your house in the summer and can help retain heat in the winter. And so this is just a picture showing the sun moving throughout the day. So the one closest to the ground is in the early morning or the very late afternoon. The next one up is in the mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and then above that is midday. So they each have different angles of shade that they would put on the house to try and keep the temperature stable. They also improve water and air quality. So with water, they're getting filtered and water is getting used. So it's cleaning it. And kind of the same with air quality. Trees can filter out and hold pollutants, which means the oxygen that they release is good, and it is good for us to breathe. It is healthy oxygen with very few, if any, pollutants. So they also can provide wildlife habitat for all sorts of animals, plants, stuff like that. So this is just a couple of examples. There's some owls, a squirrel, and a bear, but there are homes for many, many different kinds of animals and trees. Another environmental benefit is that they absorb that carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and then they release oxygen, which is what we want to breathe in. But they can also filter out those other pollutants like I was saying earlier. And these can be ozone, carbon monoxide, and sulfur dioxide. And in addition to providing habitat for wildlife, they also provide food for wildlife. So we can see here a deer is eating some leaves and possibly some of the branches off, and then this robin over here is eating some of the berries found on this tree. Trees also, their roots help stabilize the soil that is beneath them, and so that can reduce erosion. So erosion is when the soil is not stable and it can be blown away, or water can carry it away from where it's supposed to be. And they also can help control flooding by containing the waters and slowing down the flow of water. So after all of this, I would have their posters, I would have them hang up their posters on a bulletin board or maybe the chalkboard somewhere where we can see all of them, all of their proud pieces of artwork, and then we could talk just a little bit more about that. And so that would be about the end of this activity. Some specifications that I would choose to use. I would use this in a 3rd or 4th grade setting. I would use about 30-ish minutes for this activity. The materials we would need would be paper and then coloring or drawing utensils. And then the main learning objectives would be students will be able to describe and learn about the benefits of trees in their community, and students will think critically and share their ideas amongst classmates. And then a couple of extensions I have brought out would be possibly if they had access, or if this was an older age group, they could use a camera, a digital camera or a phone to take a picture of a place that they visit and load that image into a photo editing software, and then use the eraser or Photoshop to edit the trees or erase the trees that are currently there. So remove the trees from what they took a picture of, and then compare and contrast those two images. What do they like better? Which one do they think is healthier? Which one do you think more people would want to visit? Stuff like that. And then they could also, as a separate activity, they could learn about urban tree plantings, and then advocate and maybe talk to their principal about planting more trees or plants on the school ground that they currently attend. And so that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Have a good rest of the day.